Test. Okay, perfect. I think we are good now. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonah. I'm the co-founder of West Michigan Weather, going live here this evening for these strong to severe thunderstorms that are moving onshore off of Lake Michigan. Generally south of I-96. You can see here we have a couple of special marine warnings in effect here along the lakeshore from Holland down to about the edge of Berrien County and Van Buren, that border there between Berrien County and Van Buren County. These storms have had a history of producing some small hail across Wisconsin, and you can see these little round numbers here over the lake. Those are indicative of the computer software built into Doppler radar, believing that there is hail there. And so this is estimating that that's 1 inch hail there. So that would be those yellow circles. And then back in here, we even have some 2-inch estimates there on NextRed history, which again is just that computer algorithm. So not necessarily what is happening there, but indicative of some hail potential. And these special marine warnings are in effect to reflect that. They were previously severe criteria, severe thunderstorm warning criteria, but about 10 minutes ago they were updated to be under severe criteria. So they are now warned for hail that is less than 0.75 inches in diameter. So again, history of producing small hail to about dime size across portions of Wisconsin there earlier this afternoon. And now as they are moving towards the lakeshore here near South Haven and Holland, Douglas and Covert, we have some special marine warnings for some small hail and perhaps some gusty winds as well. We have a special weather statement that is in effect for much of the area south of I-96, just as a little precursor, as a heads up that these storms are coming, and that mentions the possibility for frequent cloud-to-ground lightning as well. So while I am not any longer anticipating any severe impacts, we will continue to track these as they were coming across the lakeshore. I was a little bit worried about the possibility of having a severe thunderstorm warning or two pop up south of I-96, but that concern has sort of lessened a little bit. But nonetheless, some very strong thunderstorms moving in across the lake, and there we go. We have our first special weather statement here for portions of Van Buren and Allegan County. Generally the southern portion of Allegan County as well as the western portion of Van Buren County is now under a special weather statement for the next hour and 6 minutes, so until 6:15 p.m. And this is for wind gusts of 50 to 55 miles per hour and penny-sized hail. So both of these criteria are right on the threshold for a severe thunderstorm warning. So anything over 58 miles per hour is going to be that threshold for severe thunderstorm warning, as you can see there in that first box. And then anything over penny-sized hail, the next step up from that would be quarter-sized hail. So that would be a severe thunderstorm warning as well if we were to see quarter-sized hail as a threat here. But nonetheless, gusty winds to around 50 to 55 miles per hour could cause some minor damage, knock down some tree limbs. You know, if you have lawn furniture outside, stuff like that, that could definitely be blown around a little bit with this storm. And then we also have that threat for some small hail as well, up to penny size in diameter. So that's what we have going on this evening. So that new special weather statement is now in effect until 6:15 p.m. For western Van Buren County, or actually that is all of Van Buren County there. I apologize. Yeah, so that's all of Van Buren County there, and the southern 2/3 there of Allegan County until 6:15 p.m. So, So we will continue to track these storms. Again, these are right on the threshold for severe warnings, just shy of that severe thunderstorm warning criteria. So we're going to keep a really close eye on these as they come off the lakeshore here. Of course, if you're in South Haven, if you're at South Haven State Park, now's the time to be clearing the beach. You guys need to be moving into a safe shelter, a sturdy shelter, away from the lightning and any gusty winds or hail that may be accompanying these thunderstorms as they move on shore here. All right, and while we're keeping an eye on that, I will briefly highlight the new mesoscale discussion that is in effect from the Storm Prediction Center. So this brown area here is this new mesoscale discussion that was put out about 20 minutes ago by the Storm Prediction Center. Just kind of highlighting the environment that is in place here where these thunderstorms are moving into the area. Overall, it's not very favorable, but we can't rule out isolated hail through the early evening as these storms are moving through. As you can see here, we have a severe thunderstorm watch probability of 5%. So overall, a very low threat, but again, small to briefly severe hail and locally gusty winds possible. So we're going to keep an eye on that threat as we head into the evening hours here. Of course, if you guys get damage or you have a hail report down in this area, we'd love to hear about it. You guys can go ahead and send those reports over to us or leave them in the comments on this stream here. That works as well. But we would definitely like to see those. So send your storm reports over to us at westmichiganweather.net/storm reports. Or again, you can leave them in the comments here, and I will provide that that link for you guys to send those reports to if you so wish. It's really appreciated. We will get those added to our storm report map. If you send those over to us. So I'm going to pause this animation quickly and just take a look at what we're seeing here. So this is reflectivity. This is your standard radar product. Your yellows and oranges and reds here are going to be your heavier rains. And even these lighter pink colors are going to typically be heavier rains. But when we start to see pink colors corresponding to that 59, 60 dBz value here, that's what we call it as a dBz value. When we start to see those values approaching 60, and especially when they start to get over 60, is when we start looking for that small to medium size hail. So your pea size, your nickels, pennies, dimes, your coin sizes for hail. When we start to get up towards 65, 70, that's when we're going to start looking for large hail. So we do have that 60 to 65 range right in here, just directly offshore of Sulphur Springs and South Haven there. And this next frame even increases that a little bit to 63 dBz. So there could definitely be some small hail in here. It looks like we've got a little pocket of that down here as well. Yeah, 64 there, just due west of Breedsville and Bangor, right along I-96 and M43 there. So definitely could have some small hail in with this, especially this leading edge here, this leading segment of thunderstorms as it's now approaching South Haven there. So we'll take a look at our other products here as well. This is velocity, so this is showing us how fast the particles, the rain and hail inside the storm are moving, and that can give us an idea of the winds that this storm is producing. So overall, not seeing a ton of concerning winds, but of course that special weather statement is in effect for that 50 to 55 miles per hour. Meaning that some of those stronger winds could be mixing down to the surface and cause some minor damage here. Thankfully, there is not really a strong environment here today, so we don't actually have a severe weather risk in place. Sometimes severe weather can still happen, but there's not really a severe weather risk that has been outlined by the Storm Prediction Center. So the typical probabilities that we talk about for wind, hail, and tornadoes are all less than 5% or 2% respectively. So that is good news, but of course, again, we read that mesoscale discussion from the Storm Prediction Center in this brown area here that isolated small to severe hail and isolated gusty wind cannot be ruled out this evening. So going back to our reflectivity here, with this latest scan continuing to see those 64 and 63s there. One thing of note with those values as well is they're not necessarily cores. And when I say cores, when we're looking for pockets of hail, we typically like to see a nice, filled in circle, filled in area of those higher values, and that'll give us a pretty good indication that, okay, yes, this storm is producing hail. It has a hail core, what we call it, and hail is more than likely reaching down to the surface. When we see values more spread out like this, that's not to say that there can't be hail in there, but it's not necessarily what we would refer to as a hail core. There's a little bit more uncertainty here. The scale is going to be is going to be a little bit more sporadic, a little bit more intermittent, if you will, typically speaking. So, but we will continue to keep an eye on this area. It's been pretty persistent. And there's a new scan. So a little bit less organized, even more disorganized, I would say, in this latest scan, but still seeing some values there, up around over 60 dBz. Again, these storms are just about to hit South Haven here. So South Haven, Sulphur Springs, West Bangor, Linden Hills, Covert, you guys are about out of time. If you're at South Haven State Park, you need to be getting into your vehicle or seeking shelter in a sturdy building. 1 second here. Sorry, one of our community advisors sent me a message and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't anything important. Again, special weather statement and special marine warnings in effect south of Holland all the way down to the Berrien and Van Buren County border there. We do have these strong thunderstorms that are moving onshore, just about to impact South Haven. Gusty winds of around 50 to 55 miles per hour and some small hail, perhaps up to penny size in diameter, is certainly possible with some of these storms as they move onshore. So if you guys have any reports. If you're over near South Haven State Park, if you're on the beach, if you're in Covert, Lee, Ganges, if you guys get some gusty winds or some hail, we'd love to know about it. You can let us know here in the live stream chat on your respective platform, or you can send it over to us with the link I provided there in the chat. Take a quick look at velocity here as well. Still not seeing anything immediately concerning in terms of velocity, but we could certainly still see some gusty winds with these thunderstorms. Biggest threat's going to be hail for sure, I think, with this as they move on shore, and thankfully not seeing a whole ton of those higher values that were approaching 65. Highest I'm seeing there is about 62, right due west of Crystal Beach in in Van Buren County. Got a 61 there. And then some values approaching 60 down near Braywood, closer to Covert and Linden Hills. Turn off this discussion here. Again, the southern 2/3 of Allegan County and all of Van Buren County are under a special weather statement until 6:15 p.m. Here this evening for those gusty winds to around 55 miles an hour and the possibility of small hail. Hey, Mr. Fate, what's going on? How are you today? Yeah, so Crystal Beach, areas south of South Haven and north of Linden Hills, anywhere along County Road 380 or 687 up to 384 and 388 as well. We talked about a hail core. In this area here, we'll see if this persists, but this would be an area to watch. If this persists, I would say the most likely area for some small to perhaps briefly large hail would be right due west of Crystal Beach. And these are moving due east. So anywhere on the south side of South Haven, Crystal Beach, and on the north sides of Palisades Park, along 687, 380, and 384, M43 runs right through there as well. That would be where my concern is for hail the most. And it's a little bit more less defined there, but still seeing some values that are reaching back up towards that 65 dBz mark. Again, when we start to see those values approaching 70, that's when we're looking for some pretty consistent large hail. So we're right in between that large hail mark and that small hail mark. And again, this isn't a super widespread area, not a super tight core of those higher values. But nonetheless, we could be seeing some interesting values there. Let me switch over to this a second. Give me 1 second to pull this up. We'll take a look up into the storm. Let me make sure you guys can see this. There we go. Okay, so we're going to take a look up into the storm here. So this is our area we're looking at. We're gonna take a 3D look up inside the storm there. And I know it's a little bit hard to see, but you see these shadows here. So we've got our base down here. This is our storm. This is what we've been looking at the entire time. This is looking west, so this is going to be out towards the lake. But then if we kind of zoom down and we take a 3D look at the storm, you can kind of see full screen that. You can kind of see this shadow, this area of colors. And so this is a computer model, and then these bars show how high up that precipitation is. So this is our 10,000 foot bar. We can see that this area is well over that. And then it's approaching, I would say it's right at 20,000 feet. And so hail is not typically going to be a big concern. We typically look for hail cores. I like to see them up over 30,000 feet. But of course, hail can happen with smaller updrafts. But I like to see them up over 30,000 feet and even genuinely higher than what I'm seeing here. But we could definitely have some small hail on there. And again, this is now right over 196 there. So it's just came over the beaches, and it is right over I-196 there. Here this evening as of 5:27 p.m. and we're still seeing some values approaching that 65 dBz mark. So again, we're looking at the threat for some small to large hail there. We do have a nice little bow here as well. So while winds are not overly strong, this could be a little bit of an indication that we could have some stronger winds here mixing down to the surface. I do apologize. I'm not sure why it continues to change my radar sight like that when I switch products, but it is. Not seeing anything on velocity that's super concerning, but again, that special weather statement is in effect for those, for the possibility of 50 to 55 mile per hour winds through 6:15 p.m. for the southern 2/3 of Allegan County and all of Van Buren County. Allegan County, generally, you guys look okay. Lee and Plainwell, I would still keep an eye on this. Anywhere south of Lee, I would still continue to keep an eye on this. And north of Lee, you guys are still going to have some heavy rain and thunderstorms moving through the area, but I don't see a whole lot of hail potential for you guys if you are to the north of South Haven, north of Lee, and north of Plainwell. So Allegan, you guys should be okay. Ganges and Douglas, you guys should be okay. I'm going to change the loop on this now that this is now over land, so we'll take a little bit of a shorter interval between updates. And we are starting to see those special marine warnings drop off the board, which is good news. Means that these storms behind this main line here are becoming less concerning. So our focus will continue to be on this line here out in front that is, again, now right over I-196, Interstate 196 there in southern Allegan County and Van Buren County. still seeing some values right around 65. Again, this area right in here has been pretty consistent, and this is gonna track generally east, maybe a little bit of a southeasterly track. Again, if you're in South Haven, Crystal Beach, Palisades Park, Linden Hills, Braywood, Fish Corners, Indian Grove, South Haven, Maple Grove Corners. If you guys have any reports of hail or some gusty, damaging winds, we'd love to hear about those. Please leave those in the comments for us here on the live stream. All right, so if you are in Breedsville, Bangor, Hartford, or Lawrence, you guys are running out of time now. Now is your time to move to a sturdy building. Again, this storm could be producing some small hail and some gusty winds, as well as frequent cloud-to-ground lightning. You can see all the little lightning strikes here. Centered just west of Breedsville and Bangor. So now is your time to move indoors. Again, you don't want to be outside during a thunderstorm. All right, well, we continue to keep an eye on this. Again, if you have reports from along the lakeshore there of any hail or some gusty winds that maybe blew some lawn furniture or some small tree limbs down, please let us know here in the chat on the live stream. We'd really appreciate hearing about that. So South Haven State Park, Van Buren State Park, if you were anywhere in those areas, if you were driving along I-196, we'd love to hear any reports of some hail or gusty winds that you had. And again, Bangor, Breedsville, Hartsford, and Lawrence, this will be on top of you guys here in the next 10 minutes or less. So now is your time to move indoors. Again, we've got quite a bit of lightning there centered just to the west of Breedsville, as these storms continue to push east. I would expect to see them to start losing a little bit of steam here, but we will have to wait and see for a little bit at least. All right, I'm going to stop this animation again. Do want to take a look at our reflectivity values here really quick again. Let's wait for one more scan. Well, nope, this just came in. That's okay. Yeah, so 63, 64 there. Again, this is still pretty spread out. It's over a large area. We've occasionally seen it kind of tighten into a smaller area, but overall this is pretty spread out. We took a look at that other platform. It's really not getting up to where we'd like to see it. Let me try to take a smaller sample size there. Not really getting up to where I'd like to see it. Is now over 20,000 feet, getting up towards that 25,000 feet. So the updraft is overall just not super strong, but definitely supportive of maybe some small hail there. And especially this area. This would be the area to watch. Let me full screen this. So again, we can see this is now coming up towards about 26,000 feet. This is down closer to about 24,000 feet. But this darker red to pink shading there, right at 10,000 feet, that could be an indication of some hail. And again, this is looking west out over the lake. And then this is looking south. So right now we're looking from the northwest into the storm as it tracks towards Bangor. Oh, you guys can't see this. That's cool. Sorry about that. Okay, brief overview. So again, this is getting up towards about 26,000 feet. This area over here is about 23,000 feet. And we are looking northwest from the northwest into the storm as it heads towards Bangor and Breedsville. Bangor and Breedsville are going to be right in this area here. And so this area of darker red and pink, you're right at about 10,000 feet. That could be an indication of some smaller hail, especially, and that would seem to correlate with the 2D view that we're seeing down here. Go ahead and turn back to our radar Omega software here. We'll see if we can get a recent scan here in a minute or so. But bottom line, some small hail still possible. There along there in central Van Buren County, just to the east of I-196, coming up to the I-94 corridor there. So again, if you have any reports of hail or wind speeds or maybe some wind damage, I'd love to get those. I just posted a link in the chat that you can send those over to us at. And you can also shoot them in the comments here as well. That's perfectly acceptable as well if you've got any hail or wind reports. Joe, you can't hear me. Try now, maybe? All the mics are on. Oh, that helps. Okay. Sorry about that. I think I'm back now. Am I back now? You guys hear me on YouTube now? Canon, do I need to worry about Kalamazoo or Portage tonight? Yeah, so Kalamazoo and Portage, in terms of worry about severe hazards in terms of tornadoes and large hail and damaging winds, not really. We are tracking some stronger thunderstorms that are moving through the area right along I-94 there, just to the north of I-94. But as they continue to shift east, they're going to weaken a little bit. They're going to gradually weaken. But Kalamazoo and Portage, especially if you're south of Kalamazoo, south of Portage, south of I-94 there, you guys could definitely see some frequent lightning, some pretty heavy rain, perhaps some small hail and some gusty winds. But not anything like what the I-94 corridor has seen this year in terms of severe weather. This is going to be pretty tame as compared to those other events that we've seen this year. Again, these storms are now right along M43, just to the west of Glendale there, just to the west of Teapot Dome. They just went through Lawrence, just went through Breedsville and Bangor. Again, right along M43, coming up to the M40 corridor, north of I-94. So Paw Paw, Elmina, Pine Grove, and then into Portage and Schoolcraft, Vicksburg, Lawton, and Matawan. Even as far south as Decatur, you guys are going to be up next. And good news for the western half of Van Buren County, that cell that kind of picked up there for a frame or two is now becoming a little bit less organized, so that's good news. I can hear you. Thanks, Benny. Appreciate it. Looks like a good storm. Yeah, it's decent. It's been persistent. We'll say that. It's been persistent for sure. And we'll see what happens. So far, it hasn't really showed any signs of weakening, but it's not really strengthening either, so that's always good news. But we'll continue to watch this. I was in Pavilion when the tornado came through in May. Pavilion, I assume you're talking about Kalamazoo County. I'm not really sure exactly where that is. I would assume that's near Portage. But yeah, I was right there. Yeah, so Pavilion's right here. Yeah, so I was right in downtown Portage. Whole bunch of things happened. Long story short, situational awareness lost, radar issues, traffic, all sorts of things. And the tornado actually went right over me, right in front of the FedEx building there. Really don't want to do that again, I'll say that. But we were able to get a wind gust measured at 145 miles an hour, just over 145 miles an hour, with our instruments that are mounted on our vehicle. Was able to let my team know that I was in the tornado, and then once I was out of the tornado that I was okay. I was able to get on the phone to the weather service right away and let them know that there was a tornado on the ground in Portage. And then we moved right into search and rescue at the FedEx building and those surrounding areas there. Right after that tornado went through Portage there. So overall, good outcome. Learned a lot for sure. But we're really happy with the outcome, obviously, because everyone is okay. No injuries on our team and no civilian injuries either. So that's always good news, especially when a tornado of that magnitude goes through an area and does the damage that it did. So, all right, so we've gotten a new radar scan, looking pretty similar. So I am going to step away for just a quick second, and I will be right back. I will leave this up for you guys, but I need to switch to a different scene really quickly. So. Sorry about that, everyone. I needed to step away, use the restroom, and check on the windows because it's starting to rain here at West Michigan Weather Headquarters. So I wanted to make sure that none of the windows were letting water inside. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. I know this isn't super exciting here this evening, but we are tracking these thunderstorms that are moving into along the I-94, coming up to the US 131 corridor on the far eastern side of Van Buren and Allegan counties there. I thought I turned these off, but maybe I didn't. There we go. Perfect. So we're tracking these strong thunderstorms. We do have a special weather statement in effect for about the next 20 minutes until 6:15 p.m. We can see all the information here on the left side of your screen for those of you just tuning in. These storms are now coming up to the M40 and I-94 corridor there, right over Paw Paw, coming up to Almena as of 5:57 p.m. Frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, again, some small hail and some gusty winds are also possible. If you guys have any reports, if you're in Paw Paw or Almena, if you just were in Lawrence or Glendale or Teapot Dome and you have any hail or wind reports, go ahead and send those over to us at westmichiganweather.net/storm-reports. Again, I will post that link in the chat, but we're looking for those wind speeds, any hail, and of course any damage as well. And if you guys have any flooding with the heavy rainfall moving in, that's always good information to have as well. So feel free to send those over to us, and I will get the link in the chat for you guys. Benny, you subbed and you liked the stream. I really appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for subbing. It's the best way to get notifications when we're going live is to sub to us on our YouTube channel. Both for situations like this where we're just sitting in our headquarters and tracking the weather, and when we're doing live storm chasing. And all you hear is thunder right now. Very nice. Northern Jen, heavy rain in southwest Van Buren right now. Jen, any flooding that you're seeing? Or do you have a weather station that records how much rain you're getting? That would be my question. Beth at Crossroads Mall, lots of thunder. Not anything else yet, but it's getting dark. Okay, let us know if that changes. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate that. Yeah, definitely frequent cloud-to-ground lightning with these storms as they're moving through West Michigan here this evening. So if you have any damage reports, wind or rain or flooding, we'd definitely like to know about those. It's much appreciated. Almost 100 people watching cross-platform. That's excellent. Really appreciate you guys tuning in for such a limited threat, we'll call it. So again, these storms just went through Paw Paw, coming up to Almena. They're over central Paw Paw. They're going to be moving east towards Matawan and Lawton, County Road 358, 657, and 652 there in Van Buren County. Coming up to Texas Corners and Oshtemo, even as far south as Schoolcraft and Flowerfield into Kalamazoo County. You guys are going to be seeing those stronger thunderstorms with that gusty wind and hail potential. Beth seeing a lot of lightning, big lightning. Yep, stay safe. Make sure you're inside, away from those doors and windows. Jen, no flooding or hail so far, just a big downpour. We appreciate that. And I believe you said you were at the oh nope, you're in southwest Van Buren County. Okay, well, we appreciate that. Southwest Van Buren County looks to generally be in the clear for now, but you guys do have some additional heavy rain moving in towards the area. Joey, is this weakening? Well, it depends on what area you look at. So this area, which has been our biggest focus over Paw Paw, This has remained pretty consistent for about the last hour now, and I'll go ahead and scoot back a little bit. We'll go to maybe 21 frames, and we'll just kind of take a look at this area. So it's been pretty consistent. You can see quite a lot of pinks, pretty consistent with that pink and red area there, all the way from offshore South Haven all the way through Van Buren County, coming up to Kalamazoo County now. The rest of the areas that we were watching are generally weakening, yes, but this one area that we've been really focused on, which is now completely east of Paw Paw, has been a concern. So Portage, Schoolcraft, Vicksburg, Flower Field, Lemon Park, Ramona Park, and Texas Corners in Kalamazoo County there south of I-94. I would not be surprised to see a special weather statement come out here in the next few minutes for those areas, as well as the threat for gusty winds and some smalt hail continues into Kalamazoo County. And then areas that were already impacted by showers and thunderstorms, you guys are going to see an additional round of at least heavy rainfall, and probably looks like a couple of flashes of lightning, rumbles of thunder. And again, heavy rainfall move through Van Buren County once again as the second line of storms comes through. Again, if you have any flooding reports, hail reports, damaging winds, wind speeds, rain estimates, anything like that, please let us know in the comments or send them over to us on our website, westmichiganweather.net/storm-reports. We definitely appreciate getting those from you guys. And again, that link is in the chat, so... Alright, so we're going to continue to track this area that is now, again, completely east of Paw Paw, and that next frame is still pretty consistent. Not anything immediately concerning, but this entire area right here could still be producing some small hail as it approaches the Van Buren and Kalamazoo County line as of 6:05 this evening. So while there is not a special weather statement in effect for Kalamazoo County yet, if you're in Kalamazoo County south of I-94, especially if you're west of US 131, so Schoolcraft, Flower Field, Chamberlain, Texas Corners, anywhere along West U Avenue, or 8th Street, I believe that is, Mud Lake, you guys are running out of time to move inside. This is going to be on top of you within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Heavy rain at the least, if not some small hail and some gusty winds. But heavy rain and frequent cloud-to-ground lightning for sure. KD, can you check velocity on that front cell? Sure, we'll take a look at velocity here. I haven't done that in a minute. All right, so this is velocity, and again, for those of you who are unaware, this is showing winds in relation to the radar. So our radar site is up here in Grand Rapids at the Gerald R. Ford Airport, and we are looking south into the storm. So these green colors are showing winds that are moving towards the radar. and these red colors are showing winds that are moving away from the radar. The brighter the color, the faster the wind speed. And this gray area is going to be your in between. So as especially with a storm like this, this is not really realistic. It's just the radar beam is looking straight down into the storm in these areas. But all that aside, in general here, we're looking at about 10 to 15 mile per hour winds up above the surface. But of course, some winds could be mixing down to the surface in any downdrafts that are a little bit stronger than that, probably up to around the 40 mile per hour mark. Aside from wind speeds, not seeing anything concerning in terms of rotation, so we're not looking at a tornado threat at all. And again, not seeing anything immediately concerning regarding severe damaging winds. So that's always good news, and we'll again flip back to our reflectivity, and I apologize, I'm really not sure why it is continuing to change my radar site when I just want to switch products. Looks like that area is a little bit less organized now, and it's a little bit less intense as well. You can see there that those pink colors are getting lighter, and we're seeing less of those dark pinks to purples. Still a couple of them in there at about 63 dBz, approaching Texas corners there. And again, this line has largely moved into western Kalamazoo County there, coming up to the US 131 corridor. But it looks like it is beginning to weaken, hopefully. So we'll continue to watch this for just another few minutes. I would expect this special weather statement to be allowed to expire here at 6:15 p.m. So in the next 7 minutes, that should hopefully expire, and we'll go from there. So, and if you have any questions or reports, please throw those in the comments for us on your respective platform. No wind or rain yet here from Beth. Thank you. We appreciate that. Really loud thunder and lots of lightning. Can't believe we're not in a warning. So one thing about that is lightning is not necessarily a severe risk when it comes to thunderstorms. Lightning is certainly a hazard, but it does not have an immediately dangerous, how would you like to say it, a prolific threat to life or property. Occasionally, yes, it can impact property, and even more rarely it can cause injuries or death. But it is not something that we look at in terms of determining whether or not a storm is severe or not. Lightning can be an indication of intensifying or weakening storms, for sure. And of course, as I said, it is a hazard. But when we look at warning a severe thunderstorm, the National Weather Service takes three things into account. One, is there a tornado on the ground, or is there potential for a tornado? Two, to preface, in that case, they would issue a tornado warning rather than a severe thunderstorm warning. But the other two we would look at are wind speeds over 58 miles per hour, or large hail of at least quarter size or 1 inch in diameter. So again, those are your severe thunderstorm warning types. And again, we don't see lightning on there anywhere. So we're not looking at lightning at all when we're thinking about classifying a storm as a severe storm. So take a look at this newest radar scan. Once again, it's being stubborn. It's remaining pretty consistent. Now, as it's almost right over the US 131 corridor, south of Texas corners there, still seeing those reflectivity values at over 60 dBz south of Texas corners there. So we're going to have to continue to watch this for the next little bit. And Beth, I'm trying to remember where you said you were. You're at Crossroads Mall. All right. Perfect. Good to know. Thank you. All right, let me take a look at this really quickly. Yeah, so if you're at Crossroads Mall, Beth, you got about 5 minutes or so. Crossroads Mall is going to be right up here, probably less than 5 minutes. Crossroads Mall is right up in here. So it looks like the bulk of it's going to dive just to your south, just to the south of downtown Portage. But if you get any hail or damaging winds or any flash flooding, so if you notice in a parking lot that there's ponding in the parking lot, like standing water in the parking lot, go ahead and let me know. Would appreciate hearing that. And of course, yeah, hail or if there's wind damage, we'd love to know about that as well. But yeah, and this special weather statement is in effect for the next couple of minutes here until 6:15 p.m. for Van Buren and the southern two-thirds of Allegan County. No special weather statement for Kalamazoo County yet, but I would have to believe that this has a chance of producing some small hail or maybe some gusty winds yet. So remain alert there in Kalamazoo County, especially if you're south of the I-94 corridor there. And especially if you're south of Portage. So Ramona Park, Lemon Park, Vicksburg, and Schoolcraft, maybe even Pavilion. You guys will need to keep an eye on this. Make sure you're inside a sturdy structure. Beth, you have a great view of the sky out to the west. Perfect. Just make sure you're make sure that you are doing so safely. You don't want to be caught by surprise. Mother Nature can be sneaky. We'll say that, as I learned the hard way in Portage in May. Let me turn this back down again. Still not seeing any concerns on velocity. Benny, you're in Pavilion. All right. Well, yeah, you are probably going to see the bulk of this. Kalamazoo Portage near Westnedge and Kilgore Road. Lightning with immediate thunder afterwards and rain. Yep. Sounds about right. Do you have any flooding there, Cannon, in Portage, Westnedge and Kalamazoo, or Westnedge and Kilgore, excuse me, is where you're at. If you got any flooding in there or any small hail, let me know. Storming here in Pullman. Yep. Lots of showers and thunderstorms moving through the region this evening. Especially south of I-96. We definitely have some thunderstorm activity moving through. Again, these storms are now right over US 131 in Kalamazoo County, generally south of I-94. So Portage, Schoolcraft, Vicksburg, Ramona Park, Lemon Park, Pavilion, as far north as Cooks Mill, Pavilion Center, and Scotts. You guys are next in line. You guys have about 5 minutes. Okay, appreciate that, Cannon. I think the one in Pullman, Lee Township is about done. Pullman, Lee Township. I feel like I called out Pullman earlier. Is Pullman Van Buren County? If Pullman is in Van Buren County, yes, it's about done. If Pullman is in Kalamazoo County, if it's east of US 131, it's probably not done yet. I'm not as familiar with the small township names down there. Heavy rain in Portage. Any hail or any flooding there in Portage, Joey? Cannon, are tornadoes a threat in Kalamazoo, Portage? Nope. So we're not looking at any sort of tornado threat this evening. I've been keeping a close eye on velocity as well, but the tornado threat is pretty much negligible. We don't really have any shear. There's no real helicity or storm spinning. There's not a whole lot of a tornado risk. Of course, tornadoes can and do happen occasionally, even when we don't think they can, but not seeing anything on radar that gives me concern for that. So, and that's really annoying now because I'm going to have to keep going back up here. Let me see if I can do anything about that. I don't want to take away from this for too long. Oops. Ignore the settings over here, guys. Just has no bearing to what we're talking about. Just trying to prevent it from switching things like that. Let's turn that off, maybe. Maybe that will help. There we go. Yeah, big downpour in Kalamazoo Portage from Canada. I appreciate that. Yeah, no hail yet. Sounds about right there for the Kalamazoo Portage area. You guys are probably clear of any hail potential, but definitely some heavy rain. Was supposed to go to the West Michigan University football game. Yeah, that would kind of suck. Sounds like hail, but just heavy, big drops of rain. Yeah, that can be tricky to discern for sure, especially... I have a hard time with that when I'm driving, especially. Sometimes I have to stop when I'm storm chasing just so I can... Is that hail or is that rain, really heavy rain? Sometimes I have trouble with that. When you start to get really big hail, like ping pong balls or golf balls, you don't need to stop. You can definitely tell. Quarters even, it's really easy to tell, but... If I think there may be some small hail, sometimes I definitely have to stop. A little bit less intense there south of Portage now. Looks like that hail core may finally be weakening a little bit. Of course, we'll continue to watch this for a little bit. No more special weather statements. The special weather statement that was previously in effect has expired. So that's good news. So we'll go ahead and turn alerts off there because there's not anything that we need to be concerned about. I am keeping an eye on the product feeds from the Weather Service just to make sure there's not anything else coming out. Nice lightning in Pavilion. Yep. Pavilion, you guys got about 2 minutes at this point. Lemon Park and Vicksburg, you guys are about out of time. Ramona Park, you're being hit now. Pavilion Center and Cooks Mill, you guys might be okay. Yeah, we were chasing. I'm gonna butcher this name. I apologize. Sheena. We were chasing. Owen and I were chasing in Van Buren County last year, uh, and nothing had been happening. Like we were just watching a storm come in. They had put a tornado warning on it, and we had a really good visual, but we weren't really seeing anything. And then all of a sudden, just lightning bolts, like within a few hundred yards of us, back to back lightning bolts, and within a few hundred yards of us. Yeah, we definitely jumped and used some choice language there, because we had been out of the car and there had been like no lightning, no thunder or anything, and then just bam, all of a sudden, just several bolts of lightning within a few hundred yards of us. And it's raining here at headquarters now. We're up here right on the Montcalm and Kent County border, and it is now raining. Just going to wait for a couple more scans of this, guys, just to make sure that this doesn't ramp back up, but it looks like it's weakening, and there have not been any new special weather statements put out for this, so that's good news. Yeah, so it's becoming even more spread out now and weakening. We'll give this like one or two more scans. But we'll probably start to wrap up our stream here. Again, almost 100 people tuned in at the same time for a relatively isolated low-end storm threat. So really appreciate everyone who tuned in, and I've loved the chat interaction. If you guys like to support us, again, the best way you can do that for free is to subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that like button, the bell notification button. I know I sound like a content creator here. Just plug in our channel. But shameless plug. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us. It's totally free. And it's the best way to get notified when we're going live for events like this, or even when we're doing live storm chasing. And pretty soon we'll be doing live the 4-letter S word chasing. Snow. It's going to be happening soon. Before we know it, we'll have snow on the ground. Remember Halloween last year? People along the lakeshore remember Halloween last year. A foot of snow. It's coming. It will be here before we know it. And glad you're here. Really helps to know if I need to worry or not, LOL. I always come here in bad weather. Cannon, we appreciate that. Thank you. And we try. We definitely try. Owen and I have made huge strides, especially over this past year, with the coverage and the advance notice that we're able to provide to all of you. And we hope that you guys have found that beneficial. it's been a lot of fun. And any suggestions that you guys have, we'll gladly take those for sure. Yeah, we're just waiting for probably one more scan here just to make sure that this doesn't ramp back up again. But again, we're back under 60 dBz in all these places, so we're really just looking at heavy rain now. Again, anyone who is just in Portage, Ramona Park Pavilion Center Pavilion, if you guys are tuning in, Lemon Park, Vicksburg, if you guys have any reports of flooding, heavy rain, damaging winds, hail, please let us know. We'd really appreciate hearing about that, and you can throw those in the comments. We'd appreciate that. Scott, welcome. New here. Well, we're glad you're tuning in. We really appreciate that. Thanks. We are probably getting ready to wrap up this live stream. We've been going for over an hour now, going on an hour and a half tracking these strong storms as they came in off the lake. But we really appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified when we go live in the future. Beth, and I think we are done. Thanks for your coverage. We will keep following you here on Facebook. We really appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. I think we're probably about done as well. But I'm going to wait for one more scan here just to make sure. Cannon, during the tornado, I was able to warn my niece at her yard, but she'd gotten in the basement with the kids thanks to you. Perfect. We're glad you guys got that advance notice. Yeah, we were having lots of live stream issues that day. There was just a lot going on that day, but we're glad we were able to at least have audio and be warning you guys of what was coming into Portage and then what was happening in Portage as the tornado impacted Portage there. So we really appreciate that. Scott, I am from Centerburg, Ohio. Wow. Well, all right. Well, welcome to our coverage here. Centerburg, I think, is that near Toledo? Not super familiar with Ohio. I know quite a bit of Indiana and Illinois, but I'm not super familiar with Ohio. Don't get over there for chasing much, but Toledo maybe. But regardless, you're certainly welcome here. We're glad you're here. I know it doesn't necessarily have a direct impact on Ohio, but we appreciate you tuning in for sure. We're just, again, waiting for one more scan here before we wrap up. Unless, of course, this has intensified again in the latest scan, but I doubt that. And while we're waiting for that, again, we're going to see additional shower and thunderstorm activity move through West Michigan this evening. Thunderstorms will generally be confined to the I-94 corridor, south of I-96, and especially along the I-94 corridor there. But not really looking at any additional strong or severe weather threats here this evening. Scott, Delaware, Ohio. Yeah, not really quite sure where that is either. Let me look it up really quick. And Cannon, I see your message. She's in Portage at Garden Lane where it hit bad. Yeah. My grandma actually lives in an apartment complex right near there as well. So that was another thing that was going on. I was trying to get a hold of my mom so she could get a hold of her mom, and we were having live stream issues, and then our radar software went down, and just a whole bunch of stuff. Just kind of led to a complete loss of situational awareness, and the tornado ended up impacting us. So okay, so Delaware is closer to Columbus than Toledo. Gotcha. Okay, well, very good. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate that. So the second leg on the radar, I assume you're referring to this here, and even we'll talk about this too. So these areas of convection, these lines, these segments of convection, these rain showers and thunderstorms, they will be rain showers and thunderstorms for sure, but they are not going to provide any additional chances, or should not, I should say, provide any additional chances for hail or gusty winds. Lightning, of course, and heavy rain remain a threat with these, but not really seeing any additional things like that. So, and that also continues to weaken and become less organized. So that's very good news. Cannon, yes, my grandma's okay, and yes, it does. It takes a village for sure to save lives, and we really hope that we can be part of that village for you guys. So, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing and following us. We really appreciate that. Make sure your notification bells are on if you're on YouTube. Best way to get notified when we're going live. Twitter and Facebook are the best platforms to get updated information from us ahead of hazardous weather events. And our Discord server is the best way to interact with the community at large, asking questions in advance, all that sort of stuff. We have over 100 members in our Discord server, actually over 150 members now in our Discord server, I believe. So it's a vast community with varying levels of knowledge of the weather. We've got a lot of great staff members that are very knowledgeable in the weather, and they help us convey information to all of you. So if there's an event that you're concerned about, or you generally just want to talk about the weather, our Discord server is the best place to do that. And again, all of these social media links and our Discord server link are available on our website. And I will throw that link in the chat for you guys. It's westmichiganweather.net. And that is, again, the best place for you guys to get all of your weather information. And then always make sure you guys are following the National Weather Service office on social media that covers your area. Berrien County, Cass County, St. Joseph County, Branch County, and Hillsdale County. You guys are going to be covered by the National Weather Service office in northern Indiana. That's their name on Twitter and Facebook if you'd like to follow them. If you're in Van Buren, Kalamazoo, Calhoun, Jackson, Ingham, Eaton, Ionia, Barry County, Allegan County, Ottawa County, Kent. I said Ionia already. Anywhere along the US 127 corridor up to Mount Pleasant, and then all the way through Big Rapids, through Ludington, all the way up to Manistee. You guys are going to be in the National Weather Service Grand Rapids office. So you guys are covered by the NWS in Grand Rapids, and that is their name on Facebook and Twitter as well. So follow them, because while we do our best to convey all these hazards, sometimes we're not available to do so, and you always want to have a source of weather information. So make sure you're following them as well. Yep, and I am not seeing anything else that is giving me concern. There's nothing in the Weather Service product feeds. So we will go ahead and wrap up our stream here. Again, thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Twitter, and that you're subscribed to us here on YouTube. Best way to get notifications of